Okay, thank you. We're just about at 7:30, and pardon us a little bit. We're trying to play James' role, and man, he's got a busy job. I never realized it got flustered here, but kind of running the Zoom, and so we've been doing these Teaching Tuesdays since about a year and 3 months now. So just trying to give back with some free information. It's brought to you by Virtual REI Academy, which is your one-stop shopping for all your real estate information. And we are working on the website to kind of get it bigger and better, get some glitches out of it. Emma, I don't know if you've seen some glitches, but we're trying to fix all that. I know you skimmed through everything. But so we just get on here with different topics. We're trying something different with the end of the month, just trying to get people, because you don't want to always just be learning. You want to put your position in that you're actually doing. So we're trying to get people to either put offers in or get out there and actually do some deals. So we're trying to do kind of pitch your deal, pitch and profit. If you're having trouble, or if you have a deal that you think you might be able to structure, but you don't know how to do it, so we can all kind of brainstorm and see what we could do with that deal, or if it makes sense, or if it's just like just get rid of it because it makes no sense. And we see a lot of people that try to force it and they fall in love with the deal. We want to not do that and don't fall in love with the deal. Just the numbers got to make sense, and you gotta get out there and do it. So with that, does anybody have any deals or
I don't have any screen shares.
anything? Sorry about that.
That's all right.
No, that would be me. Does anybody have any deals out there that they want to talk about or try to figure out? Anybody make any offers this week?
Ernie's got to have something. I know he does.
Got a few feelers out, but nothing's concrete yet. We one of the deals actually we're turned into one that we're just kind of helping do a little investor support. We are converting that into a retail sale, so that's coming on board. And so that one changed caveats a little bit. That was going to become a rental, and so we kind of changed it, and now we're going to do a sale on it. Numbers work very well.
Cool.
Is it like an investor that's buying it or a homeowner?
It's an investor that has it currently. So I kind of stepped in because they're an out-of-state investor. So I stepped in because it's fairly local in my area. So kind of doing a little investor support, went out. So they had a previous buyer, and then the buyer was filing for FHA lending. FHA came in and kind of did a number on the house, and they listed it as a C6, which I was unfamiliar with what the coding is. But anyway, I had to deal with a lot of structural stuff, and that's why I kind of got involved. So I helped out with that and took care of all those situations. And so this particular person was going to turn around and relist it for rent, try to recoup the $8,000 or $9,000, whatever that was spent. And I'm like, by the time you end up doing that, you're gonna have a year involved in it, and you've done these renovations and whatnot. So why don't we just put it up for sale for you and just put it up at a higher asking price? Because they had it listed at $159, it went for $165, and I'm like, this is actually the picture behind me is of that little house, and we changed it from all white exterior, which every house on that block is all white, to this iron ore with a yellow door. And so it makes it stand out significantly in a good way. So
yeah, it pops. Yeah,
it definitely
pops. I like it.
I like the color of the house.
So now she's looking at a potential, another $15,000, $18,000 of profit if it goes for where, we're looking at number wise. So the real estate game is not always necessarily about buying your own properties, but being creative with others that you're involved with, and everybody kind of wins on the back end of it.
Yep, no
Absolutely.
doubt. And that brings us to something we've been last probably couple months we've been consulting a little bit just for a small fee, but it's like a person came in, a big company that they were going to help them secure the asset, and then they were going to rehab it. They were going to rent it for them. One-stop shop, and we'll do everything for a passive investor. Now, most passive investors are just looking at like, hey, I'm going to give you X amount of dollars and I'm going to make this. And a lot of it's self-directed IRA money. So it's just, they're just building their wealth that way. Said one-stop shopping had some issues during COVID, just pretty much walked away from a ton of properties and left all these investors kind of hanging. So we've kind of went in the last couple months, and some of these properties were mobile homes on land that kind of, they had their own land. Some of them are even in parks, and they've actually like went obviously sitting and pipes and people breaking in. So we've kind of got them secured up, and it's just a difference in how you think of things. The passive investor was like, oh my God, this was such a mess. I'm just getting rid of, I'll sell it for 5,000. And mind you, they're in for 90,000, but they've just, it's been a bad experience. They've been frustrated, all this stuff. So we kind of went in there and talked to them about, just seller finance it out. You're going to have to, it's the same as a rental, mostly. You have a couple other little stumbling blocks, but I think we've sold 4 of them for people that were, just ready to take an absolute loss, and sell it for 10,000 and wipe their hands of it and keep it moving. But now,
Nice.
seller financing, we're up to 90,000, interest rate. That's whatever. It works for the people. They're contractors or handy people, so they can do the work and kind of work for equity. So it's just how you look at things. And I think every deal is something you can look at, in 3 different ways. We always look at it as either we're going to wholesale it, we're going to rent it, we're going to flip it, or we're going to flip to keep for 5 years, so there's multiple exit strategies, multiple ways you can do things. And that's why, different offers, you just got to put offers in and then see what works.
And
we've rehabbed.
you can create a note too and sell the note after it performs.
Yep,
That's
you
right.
can just do so much different things, but I think a lot of people gets caught in that, and we were, that's how we learned. So, we learned, this, you buy it, it's a little rental, and that's all you can really do with it. So you kind of have to expand things to do different things, and then help other people, because they don't see that. Even agents, yeah, it's a friend of mine, and it was just a weird, something popped up where he's been selling a house, and I saw a price cut, and I was like, hey, would they do owner financing on it? I don't think we necessarily want the house to do anything with it. I don't know if it makes sense for us, but he's like, I don't know, maybe.
Like, what's seller finance?
Yeah, so the light bulb's going off with him, and I think we could probably strike out a pretty good deal. It's a manufactured home, but it's in a park. So I don't know if it makes sense for us with the lot fees and all that, but it's a really nice house, and it's if we could get them down to a reasonable where we can still rent it, make a little cash flow, that helps him with his problem. It helps the people with their problem, because they went back to Massachusetts or wherever they went, and so
Well, that's
just
also kind of going
throwing
back
that
to your.
out.
That's kind of also going back to the beginning of what you were talking about with the seller financing situations, that if you're able to take that over and get it for a good price, then you could always do, the owner side, the seller financing on it, and have someone that's going to be in that blue collar working position that has some cash available to be able to, buy the property, and then, or kind of the lease with the option to buy it. Right. So you just take that option money up front. And so you may not necessarily, you're not dealing with the lot rent. They are, they're dealing with the property maintenance and all that. But you're just collecting the fee. So it's just, again, it's kind of, a couple of years ago, I didn't know these things, just like many in the room probably didn't know some of these different techniques. I mean, I had, for a long time, I was like this, right? Blinders on. I'm just flipping houses. I'm buying houses. I'm doing this. And it's not until you, are around like-minded people that do those kind of things, and that's where they started out at, that you guys collaborate and you start learning. And but then you just like, oh, and then you start kind of kicking yourself in the butt, right? All the things that you should have done, could have done, would have done, and if you would have known. But that's the knowledge side of it.
That's right. At least that's what we get frustrated that way, saying, oh, we gave up this deal. We could have did this. We could have did that. But we're learning and growing and moving forward, and we're actually out there doing it. So many people get stuck and just the learning and don't go out and actually do it and, put the deals in and
Yeah.
find houses and make money on it. So yeah,
Well, it's like I had someone the other day ask me, and they're like, "Hey, I got 10 grand. How do I get started in real estate?" And I'm like, "Well, I mean, pick an avenue. I mean, you could go into doing wholesaling where you have very low money to entry. I said, you could get into doing a fix and flip. I said, 90-10, you just have to stay within $100,000 house, and and you can get started that way. I'm like, you can invest in someone else's small deal and do $5,000 down, and you can just kind of do it as a lending side. So I mean, there's really multiple ways to get started in a lot of that in the real estate, and a lot of people just get this like, hey, I'm scared, or the analysis paralysis, and they just got to get started. That's the biggest thing with it all.
And that's
Yeah,
one of
even
that's one of the reasons I would actually suggest that people start, at least explore, if you're in that position, the Virtual Real Estate Academy. Because we
Absolutely.
basically we've got over 20 different buy and sell strategies on there, as well as marketing. How do you find markets, members of your team? How do you build a business? How do you build a CRM? So there's a lot of things on there. Only having one or two strategies in your pocket, I think, when you're starting out, you need to get one or two under your belt. But then you limit
Sure.
yourself if you're not continuing to learn and expand. And the nice thing about the Virtual Real Estate Academy is it at least introduces you to a lot of different strategies, enough so that you should be able to sort of say, I wonder if that would work here. And then you can call Sharon and Jane and they can tell you how to do it, right?
Absolutely. Was someone asking something?
Bodie had a lot to say on that. That's our little golden retriever
Golden
puppy.
retriever.
So,
He liked what Nicole was saying.
Thank you, Nicole. Yes, we liked it too. That's true. Did you turn it off? Oh, at the beginning, if I had something like this academy to be able to read up and understand and learn, I'd be a lot further ahead than I am. And also there's a tax accountants, like we didn't know tax implications and everything at the beginning. So we had to pay a lot more just in taxes until we realized to find the right tax accountant and all that. And that's addressed in the academy, just little things like that. It does make a big difference in leaving money on the table if you don't know some of these things. Just structuring your business the right way up front.
Yeah, those are also kind of to your point. I mean, a lot of people kind of get so caught up in the things that really aren't necessity at the moment. Just like you and Jane, just like you mentioned, you're going to learn, but you got to get going in it. Yeah, you're going to spend a little extra money sometimes on maybe the tax implications because you didn't know it. Maybe you spent a little money because you didn't form the LLC correctly, or you chose to go with an LLC versus an S corp, or whatever that scenario is for you. But a lot of people, again, that's the kind of the analysis paralysis. Like, oh, I got to do this and this, and I got to get my website and do all this stuff. I've had probably like 6 or 7 different websites because I'm always evolving it, or I'm changing it, or I don't like the way that it's looking, or I just completely go to a different realm of things. Now it's like, I really don't need a website. Like I can, because really it's a matter of like, who knows me? What am I doing? and then how can I provide value? So it's not so much about the company and all those things these days. And it's so people get so caught up in with all the little specifics that it's really deters them from really getting started.
Yeah, and we know quite a few people that, I mean, they started the same exact time that we did. They're still like just going to classes and just trying to figure out the next best thing. And really the best thing is just start putting offers in. I'll just give a quick example. We were trying to learn different foreclosures, auctions, and whatever. So Hudson and Marshall is, a friend of mine, was like, "Oh, have you seen Hudson and Marshall?" I went to the website. I was like, "Wow, this is really cool." Just started playing around with it, and I think it was, I'm not sure which auction it was. I think it was Florida and some other states, but it was like 12, 13 different states. And we're in different states. We invest in different states. So I put in all these bids, the lowest bid coming in. And I went to bed that night and I was like, okay, cool, that was fun. I learned how to do that. And then the next morning somebody called and they're like, hey, what are you? Do you work for like a major company or what do you do? Because you won like 27 bids. And I'm like, wow. So, obviously back then we didn't have the capacity or
To keep them all.
to do all that. So I kind of explained, hey, I was just learning. So they gave me a pass for that. But, out of maybe 50, I won 27. So I won half just
Woo.
doing the bare minimum, just going in at, whatever the lowest bid was. And then, you just learn a little bit more. You're more picky. And then, we've got a lot of good properties from Hudson and Marshall. We've got a lot of good properties from the HUD Home Store. Just
Yeah.
did the same thing, put in 30 bids, won a bunch of them, picked the ones that I liked and threw the rest back, and it's no harm, no foul. So just, same with homeowners driving down the street. If you see, somebody with looks a little disheveled, send a postcard, give them a call, leave a note on their door, something just to start
Yeah.
getting, it's a numbers game. It's always a numbers game. And the more offers you put in, the more you're going to get back, the more houses you're going to get.
And like people
Exactly.
get nervous about door knocking, but the people who door knock, even when we've door knocked, we haven't had anybody scream at us, yell at us, shoot at us. People are pretty nice when, you go and knock on their door and just talk to them. I know it's scary, but people, most people are generally nice and, they don't have an attitude and they're pretty polite. So
Yeah. And and again, if you're going to an A class type property versus a D class type property, just take some other people with you, right? So it's not as bad or something maybe, but yeah, again, at the end of the day, I mean, when we're out checking on properties and whatnot, it's a matter of knocking on, talking to other people and stuff too. So but anyway, jump into your guys' lesson here, so we're not jumping off
Yeah,
topic.
no worries. We were just that's what we're supposed to be bringing a deal tonight. So we're hoping somebody had a good deal to bring in. But
does anybody have anything that they want to talk about or see if it's a good deal? Or Emma, how about you?
I just had a question regarding the auctions websites because I registered for one and then I thought about reading reviews about it and it was terrible reviews. So sometimes the auction sites are not legit. So it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, like here in Florida, we have the county auctions where you can go to the courthouse or you can put online bids in. They're pretty structured. Make sure it's the HUDhomestore.gov and it's not, there are some other places out there that have it's like a paid service or something. You don't need to do that. The .gov is free. Hudson and Marshall, they're pretty decent. Auction.com's another one.
And you just have to know the rules to each one of them. They all have their little, rules and ways to do things. Some of them you have to put up some money up front in an escrow type of thing. Others, like HUD Home Store, you have to wait a certain period of time for it's open to investors. So they all have their ways to do things. They just have to read the directions and understand.
I was actually I was actually reading about auction.com that sometimes they bid the price up on purpose, or I read several bad reviews and I decided not to go with it. I don't know. I was a little bit skeptical. Just that one, but I don't know how to use it. So
Yeah, auction.com, we've used it a little bit. We've never actually won anything on there. And again, like at this point, things are getting, I think the auction houses know they can charge more. Everybody was just buying ridiculously high, so they've put their things. I'm starting to see them coming down where they're more reasonable. I mean, pre-COVID, we were picking up houses on Hudson and Marshall for, 16,000, 20,000. HUD Home Store, same thing. I mean, we play in that ballpark where we're not going to get hurt no matter what. If I buy a house for 20,000, even if I have to put 30,000 in it, 40,000, 50,000, it's still going to make a great rental. It might make a good flip. I can wholesale it. So, I think the prices are coming down. I know some people have gotten really good deals off of auction.com. I just personally, we've never won anything. But I think all the auction places are, kind of padding the numbers there.
And you just have to figure out your number, know the high, your top of the
Your
line
max offer.
and maximum top of the line offer, and do not go above it, even if they, push for it, just, keep making that offer to your comfort level. And that's what we do. We always are very conservative and we stay within our range, and we don't get into that exceeding it where, everybody else was jumping on the hot market and buying too high. And now so many people are stuck holding a house with, the insurances, the interest rates are going up, the equity's not there.
thank you.
Of course.
But right now, the way the market's looking, a lot of people are in houses that they need to sell and they can't sell them. So because somebody will come in and the interest rate's going to be higher. And so there's an incredible amount of opportunity out there right now. I think in the next year it looks different, but you're going to have the same kind of opportunities that we did back in 8 and 9 with that last crash. And it's just, so, I would get my head down, learn some of these strategies and go make offers, because you're not going to buy anything without making an offer. You just aren't. And
Yep.
so you
Yep.
have to get over that, I don't know enough. And you also have to recognize that there's a lot of those quote gurus out there who make their money by trying to convince you you don't know enough, that you have to take their course to be safe, to be able to make a reasonable offer. And that's just not true most of the time. I mean, there's things you have to know, but that's what this community is about. There's a lot of people here who've got a lot of experience that can kind of step in and help you a bit when you have some of those questions. You just have to reach out and ask.
Yep. And as long as you have a clause in your contract, like almost you can even make offers with agents. I mean, we know people that's all they do is they have an agent that makes offers for them. And as long as you have that inspection clause in there, and we did a lot of that, maybe not making offers, but going to look at houses, because, I can barely swing a hammer, and, Sharon's a little bit better, but just looking at a house, we don't have Ernie's experience, going through a house and saying this needs done and that needs done. So we looked as many houses as we could, just sometimes agents, sometimes wholesalers, just going in to look at houses so we could recognize, the scope of work and how much it was going to need, and just, ballpark it. But as long as you have that inspection clause in your contract, you can get out of anything. You don't want to do that all the time, but in case you missed something, or in case the numbers really didn't make sense, or in case the wholesaler, told you that, it was worth 400 when it's worth 350, you can always get out of that contract and, say that the numbers don't work. And we've had to do that a lot as well. Some people want you to put a contract in ahead of time. So, make your offers. We've certainly bid on a lot of HUD homes that then you go look at them and they're not what they appear, the pictures weren't, or just, some major major thing kind of happened, and you just get out of the contract and you don't send the earnest money in. There's no harm, there's no foul. Hudson and Marshall, you're supposed to look at them. We've got out of a couple of them just that, they didn't make sense, but there's all kind of people out there that there's plenty of deals. There's wholesalers, agents. Just go on to Zillow and put in the search bar, put houses on the market for longer than 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. And those people are starting to get pretty desperate with, they might take a creative, they might take a subject to, they might, just sell or finance it out or master lease it. They just don't want to deal with it anymore. So there's all kind of things that, ways to find, do marketing campaigns, driving for dollars, just driving in your neighborhood. I'm sure there's that house that nobody knows what's going on. Somebody died, the people moved, it was foreclosed or it's almost foreclosed. And that, that's something you can sink your teeth in and then just make an offer and see what happens.
Yesterday, we had a friend that we knew for a bit of time, and he's a realtor now, and he actually is in realizing how valuable it is to work with investors. And he told us he's not afraid to, he's noticing the days on the market's longer, people are coming down on their prices. They're, more, the open houses are coming back, which that's telltale signs that the market's starting to shift. And he said, I'll put in offers for, different types of creative strategies. I love that. I'll, put in where you can do lease option or owner finance to get the house. Just look at some houses with me. I'll drive around with you, show you houses, and we'll, come up with some creative things. Explain it to me. I'll even let you talk with the homeowner with me. So if you can get realtors that understand it and will work with investors and see the value in it, that is a home run. That's what you want.
Mr. Brody, welcome.
Hey, Daniel, how you doing?
He's probably driving.
How y'all doing?
Doing well, sir.
Did you say
Thanks for being here. I thought you were out driving, probably looking for a deal.
No, I'm trying to recover. I haven't made it in the house yet.
There you go. That one house you have is nice, man.
Yeah,
It's good.
it's up there in Youngstown. Oh,
Yep. It's a good market. You got it.
yeah. Well, there's Ernie. What's everybody doing?
Good. How many offers you put in this week?
Me?
Yep.
None. I've been slacking this week.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Oh boy. That's all right. We've only put in a couple. We got some stuff
catching up to
going
do.
on.
Yeah.
We're waiting on one to close in Gary.
Yeah, we
So
had
that's
two closings this week that they both had a little bit of issues that we had to kind of push through and help out and grab some forms and get inspectors out there. And
we did actually close one in Hagerstown, Maryland, so we are one less house in Maryland. Sorry, no
Yay!
offense.
Oh, so
No offense,
really not buying.
Maryland, but
yes. And we have two houses that are in our area that we've been overseeing with the rehab with them too. So, but that's no excuse. We should always have something in your pipeline, right?
Yep. So you selling all these or you buying them?
one's a rehab, our rehab in Gary, Indiana, that we had some run-ins with inspections for down payment assistance that we've learned a lot through that little program and inspections. And then the other one was a rental that we had for since 2018. So we sold that one.
So what are you guys finding? How many offers are you having to put in before you get one accepted? And how many deals are you looking at before you see one that's worth putting an offer in? So just kind of what are the ratios you're seeing?
Yeah, I think with you're gonna put in a lot of offers, maybe probably 50 before you start. I mean, yesterday was kind of weird. We just, we haven't got it accepted, but we, just put in a whatever owner finance. Hey, can we do this? We put it really low, so I doubt we'll get that one. But that was just a one-on-one. But I'm saying probably 50. We're gonna have to put in 50 different offers and different ways and different strategies. Something that we're really seeing is the Airbnb people are really struggling. There's a lot of municipalities that are cracking down. So those folks are struggling, and it has to make sense because they overpaid for them, and thinking they would base the rent on the Airbnb rent, and now they're HOAs or whoever have kind of put the nix on that. But I'm saying probably 50 to 100 offers, and you might get one that sticks, or and that could be Hudson and Marshall. I probably put in 20 bids today, didn't get any as far as I know. Different states. Yeah, I'd say probably about 50. If we send out mailers and we do it the way we're supposed to, you're looking at probably 1,000 to get 10 showings, 5 pretty good deals, and maybe 1 or 2 deals out of that.
So Daniel and Ernie, what are you guys seeing? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I haven't been putting in as many as I used to, but I'm like the low ball king of whatever, like up there. I've been buying in Ohio, in the Youngstown area, and they fight you. There's a couple wholesalers, whatever, but most of the stuff that I buy is on the market, is on the MLS. So my strategy is 50% of asking price, because asking price is value, is market value in my brain. And then I got to be 70% to get my cash back out of it. So I start at 50%, and I usually end up somewhere around 60, 65%. And to answer the question, it's probably 1 in 10. It's just poking that right person. Now, like Jane said, 50, 60 offers could go by, but then it's 1 out of 8, right? And then it's 1 out of 5. But right now the market is like, I actually put 4 houses on the market, 1 duplex for $100,000 more than I paid for it. And I bought it last July. So right now it's thinning out, because it's coming into springtime and buyers are there. But my best buying time is like July through Christmas. But yeah, I would say, I guess the average is probably like 1 in like 20.
Yeah. So, and that's very valid points, what you got. What we're kind of seeing is that we're not just, when we are doing the offers, we're not just doing one offer for that person. So we're not giving them just the one strategy. We're giving them multiple strategies at once. So we're creating essentially 4 offers or 5 offers within one deal structure, and or one offer ultimately, but we're doing it with like an owner financing situation, a subject to a lease option, but we're really just putting it in very layman terms so that they simply can understand just the numbers. Hey, we're willing to give you, cash. And if we're doing cash, to Daniel's point, it's 50%, because cash is king and cash is expensive, right? So when we're doing it that way, so we want to get the best deal for that. So kind of in lieu, when we're talking about the deal side, I am kind of getting back into ramping up the marketing. I just did a list of 5,000 leads, both around the North Carolina area where I'm at, and then also up into the Pennsylvania market and Ohio market where Daniel is, and the Pennsylvania one where I'm at. And so right now, it's kind of ramping that side back up again, because I've noticed the deal flow not like it was, right? And the amounts that were there, you're having to really kind of create these situations more so with the both, having to educate the investor or educate the realtor in a lot of cases to be able to bring back to their sellers these options. And then you really, when it comes down to it, it's, you got to be able to put those offers out there. And it's easy, give them a piece of paper with those 4 options on it and allow them to A, B, C, or D, and they're going to knock off 2 of them. And ultimately you want to steer them to what you really want, which is kind of like a seller financing situation or cash. what we find out, and that really helps wean out some of the ones that you just you weren't going to be dealing with anyway. So you can really increase your close volume by just doing something simple like that.
Yep, great points.
Thank you, Ernie.
Indeed.
So from Rita, she's asking, what kind of marketing are you doing?
So we kick it old school with some postcards. I'm not sure what the going thing was. I know yellow letters were bad, but we have handwritten postcards that just say, "Hey, want to, we were driving by, we want to buy your house." And then pick an area, pick a zip code, pick some of it's driving for dollars.
We've been doing it for a while, so we have like wholesalers that will call us first now because they know that we'll pull the trigger and buy, so they know what we're looking for. So once you start doing it and build up, your clientele, then you'll have people coming to you with the deals, and that's what you want to get to. It takes a while to get there and make people realize that you're serious and you're actually buying, or the realtor will come to you with a deal that they have, like a pocket deal or something. So at this point, we were able to get things that way, or go to meetings or groups like this, and people might have a deal somewhere that you're working. If you have a certain area or a place that you're working, let as many people know as you can in group meetings and RIAs and everywhere, and social media, and then they'll remember you and bring you the deals that are in that area. So
Yeah, it's like if we hear Youngstown, Ohio now, I mean, who do we think of, right? If we hear Charlotte, who do we think of? So the more groups you're in, the more things you get out in. And even Facebook, like for the longest time, when we started real estate, we didn't tell anybody what we were doing because everybody said it was illegal. You'll never amount to anything. You won't be able to do it. It's above your pay grade. You're just wasting your time and money. So we really like kept that close to the vest. Not many people knew what we were doing. Had we been a little bit more out there, and then once we kind of put the word out there, we got 2 houses just from previous coworkers who were like, "Hey, my uncle passed away and we just don't know what to do with this and we don't want to deal with the house." Or so, Facebook is TikTok, Instagram, all those things, LinkedIn even, all those things are free. Just tell people what you do, tell them what area you're looking for, and then that's just free marketing that you'll have deals come to you. And even if you don't know what to do with it or can't, then maybe somebody that does. If it's multifamily, who are we going to call? We're going to be like, James, I think this is a deal. Nicole, I think this is a deal, but it's not in our wheelhouse. And do you want to work on it, or do you want it, or you just pass it on to somebody that might. But the more you're out there, the more people are going to come to you, and then the more deals you're going to get.
And then if you have a good deal, like Jane said, people JV with you, or the money will be there. If a decent deal, then the money will come. And then if like another idea is we buy, if we buy a house from an investor who's kind of like older and trying to, retire and offload some of their merchandise or whatever, and you buy and you do it the right way, and you respect them and have it smooth closing and no nonsense, then they'll come to you first for the rest of them when they're time to unload them, or they want to sell them off, or burned out landlords, that sort of thing.
Yeah, like we're probably picking up a house in Marietta, Ohio, from one of our buddies in an investor group that down here in Sarasota. He's had it for a while. He just doesn't want to deal with it anymore. He's gonna just sell it to us on payments instead of cash, or we could just buy cash. We haven't decided how we're going to do that one yet, and we'll sell or finance that one out, or put a little money into it and rent it, and it's going to be really cheap, and it's going to be a good deal just because we know him. And we bought another one in Gary, Indiana, from another investor in the same group, and he says how we always pay on time and things are good and pay early and all that stuff. So yeah, just kind of stumble into things with groups and marketing and kind of stuff.
And that's one of the areas that we've kicked around and looked at. So we already have a group of people that are interested in the houses. If we do acquire that one, when we do acquire that one, we have a couple people that'll go right in, and they're interested in financing, so we'll have residual income.
That's even free marketing. Just go into Facebook Marketplace and say, I'm looking for a house in whatever, see what people send you and see if you can make a deal that way. We've done that before. Or you can
Even
sell houses.
Craigslist,
Yeah, Craigslist, any of that.
Yep.
which is kind of a forgotten thing since Marketplace has been around.
I was gonna say,
We-
Craigslist is still around.
Yeah,
Still actually use it. You just got to be careful and make sure you get their real email address and,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One
my
more
my
thing-
marketing, just to kind of throw that in there, is very direct. So when I do the list, we're scrubbing for certain items, a certain number, or certain whether it's a vacant landlord or absentee owner, or some kind of foreclosure, and a certain zip code or whatnot. So we're kind of, instead of doing like a mass blanketing campaign and waiting for them to call us, we're essentially doing the cold calling, right? So we want to be able to get the name numbers and do the script tracing for those, and really just kind of have that conversation. And whether it's retail market worthy, or if they're willing to get a deal and do a cash side of it, like Daniel's talking about, getting it 50% on 50 cents on a dollar kind of scenario. We can have that conversation and then kind of steer the conversation, and then really just ask the right questions. But we're getting the direct phone line versus waiting for them to call us. So I'm a very big proponent of that. I used to do sales for a bunch of years. So for me, knocking on doors of restaurants and wherever else I was selling products to is kind of second nature. So not everybody's up for that. And then trying to build a rapport and everything over the phone, it gets a little difficult. But when you just kind of ask a question, then listen to what the response is, and then ask it, and ask a follow-up question to that and the concerns. I mean, the marketing is going to go a long way. We found one, I think right now, with skip tracing and leads, we're at like 15, 16 cents per lead with phone numbers, and that's being skip traced. So it's really, really inexpensive.
What
Do you want to
CRM do you
I was
use,
just
or
gonna
what?
say, do you want to share if you're comfortable with that?
No, I mean, it's fine. The actually, I don't use like Podio or any of those currently to pull a list from. I know that they are. I have used those in the past. Typically, they're just like 11 cents by itself just to do the skip trace, or 11 or 12 cents or something like that, just to do the skip trace, and then your X amount of dollars or whatever per pulled list, depending on what you're pulling for. I actually know I found a lady through Facebook Marketplace. She's international, and she's pulled a list. She's probably pulled 5,000 or so leads for me right now. I think total, I have maybe spent like $350 or whatever else for her to do all that.
Wow.
And they're already skipped trace and all. Whatever 15 cents works out to be, that's about what it is.
Wow, that's
That's
awesome.
awesome. That's great.
Yeah. And so, so anyway, again, I started adding some of these other areas, and then also like, the M&A space, mergers and acquisitions for businesses. So that's another sector that we're kind of diving into, because it's like, hey, if we can fix houses and flip houses, we can fix businesses and flip businesses too. So,
Yeah, right. No doubt.
so that's always out there as well. Again, it's just kind of to both your points, is just the having the conversation is really the key component of it. And you're going to find it's not going to work for everybody, and you're not always going to be able to solve everybody's problems or issues. But ultimately, if you can come out with 20 of those phone calls, and you come out with a deal or a couple deals out of those, it's well worth it, right?
Yeah, no doubt. And it's funny, like even there's we've had times where the house that we went to look at it didn't work for them, but then they've passed our number on to somebody else that they were like, wow, they had some different kind of solutions for us, and we've got another house out of it from that person that didn't necessarily work out for. So you just take care of that person with like a referral fee, and it works out good.
Well, Daniel, you said Real Flow works well for you?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to use it. Philip uses it in Houston. He just let me log in. We're getting ready to buy in Houston, and I'm watching the videos, and it seems to be, it does everything from start to finish. It pulls your leads, it gives you the leads. You can upload, like we're gonna upload the expired listing leads into it and then send mailers out. It does all the mailers, everything. You do it all in the same system, boom, track it, all that. That's as far as I've gotten with it so far, but I can see what he's done in the past. And if you want, yeah, they'll even handwrite an envelope for you. So it's,
Yeah, and then that's like an all-inclusive service where they have all these different add-ons you can do. And so I mean that's one of those things that, you know, you can help yourself through that process a lot, right? By doing something like Real Flow.
you just gotta take the time to learn it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Or-
always the point. Technology, right?
That's the
Technology is
problem I
always
have. I have to sit here long enough to watch all this stuff, you know. I don't like to sit here that long.
But at the end of the day, the thing of it is, are you going to be doing it, or are you going to be delegating it to someone that's doing it, or can you find someone that's already fluent in how to do Real Flow, and you just, you know, upload it all and say, hey, we want to do this, this, and this, and you know,
The plan is to just set it and forget it and let whoever in the area deal with it, right? Call the leads, call the expired listings, all that stuff, and then give them like a wholesaler fee, right? We're
Mhm.
going and bringing it to the table while we close it. But I haven't gotten that far yet.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think of PropStream?
I'm
I,
never-
yeah, I
PropStream's-
like. Yeah,
yeah. And PropStream is good. When I used it, it was good. You know, again, it's at the end of the day, it's, you know, what you put into it is what you get out of it. So, and what you're asking it, you know, is what you're kind of getting out. I've had some of the leads I got out of it. And then when we went through and did some of the skip tracing through it, I can't say all the information is fantastic, you know, but again, at the end of the day, no system is 100% yet.
yeah, I like PropStream. Just you know, we use that for comps. We use it for pulling lists, and something I do like with PropStream is the linked property, so you can see what a person has. Like, you know, when they're in trust and stuff, it's a little bit harder. But you know, we just stumbled onto somebody that had. We were looking at one of his little properties, and I think he had, you know, well over 500 properties and millions of dollars, and he was not over leveraged and stuff. So he's a seasoned investor and might be ready to get rid of some of that. So that was just stumbling onto that with PropStream.
Yeah, I think that's actually, and I don't do a lot in the single family space anymore, but one of the things we have found is that as people start getting older and they have this big portfolio, a lot of them are looking to get out of the
Mhm.
active management,
Mhm.
but they're also not looking to pay these huge capital gains. And so a lot of them are really interested, at least we've got one on the hook now, what that has about 35 houses, and he's interested in, you know, putting them together in a note, and then we'll just buy the note and he'll carry the note. So actually be the bank, and it's looking pretty good. So I wonder if that's a strategy for some people who've been in this for a long time to try and offer them alternatives, so to speak, to, you know, dealing with property management or those kinds
Certainly.
of things.
Yeah, certainly. And that's a very good one too, because I mean, a lot of times they don't want to get hit with that big capital gains, and then theoretically they don't necessarily want to do a 1031 exchange and have to go find other properties to invest in because they're just trying to get out of it, right? But they still don't want to relinquish everything that they built, so they still want to get that cash flow. So that's a great option you gave them as far as creating the note and then having them become the bank.
Well, and you can also set that up as a general land trust or a personal property trust with alternative kind of so that you can take it over on an option if something happens and you are an alternate trust beneficiary. And so you can just step into that if something happens to them, and then the whole family doesn't have to worry about kind of
Probate.
Probate.
probate and all that stuff. Yeah. That's a great kind of, particularly if you're not having to put up a huge option fee and you set up yourself as a alternate or a successor beneficiary to step into some of those. I think there's a lot of opportunity in that kind of space if you can find some of those people who are in their 70s and 80s looking to do something different.
Yeah, certainly.
Perfect idea. That's
Too bad Pete Fortunato has a bunch of kids, right? And can you imagine his stuff?
Yeah.
it's a
I mean,
legacy.
But yeah, we have a lot of. I'll tell you, we're fortunate here in Sarasota. We have a
Fortunate.
yeah, fortunate. We
Fortunate,
have a lot.
fortunate.
We have a lot of seasoned investors. Don Schaub, Pete Fortunato, the Cooks.
Tom, who did we just?
Jeff Watson
Jeff
comes here a
Watson.
lot. He's actually moving down here. So we have a lot of people in the single family space that like we try to go and learn as much as we can so we can bring it back and just spend a bunch of time on subject 2 over the weekend. A nice 1-day seminar. So just some, and actually we learned something new about Ohio. The LLCs there are pretty solid, and so they were suggesting the LLC out of Ohio with the trust here in Florida, just to do some shielding and different things.
Because here the our Sunbiz where you know all the LLCs and the businesses go into, anybody can go into there and find almost everything about the person and the company and the business. But
Mhm.
Ohio is pretty shielded. They don't require you to
They don't even take your
disclose a
information,
lot,
much
yeah.
less report it, so it's a little bit better. And I don't know that. We have to verify that. So, but that was some.
Because Jeff Watson, he is in Ohio and he's a lawyer and he's an investor and he does business in Ohio, and now he's moving down to Florida, and that's what he said. I'm going to continue to have my LLCs out of Ohio and just use trusts here, open up the trust here in Florida as the beneficiary.
And then everybody can listen to Nicole talk about trusts.
Yeah.
Got to do that the right way, right?
In June, yes.
No, I have a series in Ohio, so it's got like 90 cells in it, and each house is its own cell, which is technically its own LLC structure separately. And then I use Wyoming for the lawyers and the asset protection, and then it feeds up to a trust. So trust, Wyoming, disregarded holding company, and then Ohio is the holds all the stuff. And you're correct, that guy's correct, or you guys are correct, that my name's not on any of it. The attorneys are on all the filing documents. So even if it traces up to an LLC, which my name's not on either, because Wyoming doesn't require your name on the articles of organization when you file it with the state.
How's the CTA going to affect that? Are you good with that?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, they're handling it. I don't have to necessarily, I have to tell the IRS, but I don't have to file directly and add it to, that's my understanding.
Yeah, I think that was our understanding too, is that the only people who really are going to know is the IRS, and by law, they can't share that unless there's a specific type of subpoena.
Yeah, exactly. So, but
Or a security breach?
Yeah, well, yeah. That's always a worry.
the first defense with the asset protection is they can't find it,
Yeah.
right? Somebody slips, falls on one of your properties, tries to sue you, like, oh, this guy owns all these properties, blah, 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 but they can only find none that you own because you're not attached to it. Your name's not on any of it. Sure, they can see LLC trail all the way up, but even when you get to the trust, you know, a layman attorney is going to be like, well, a trust owns it, you ain't getting nothing there, you know? So it's, what is it? Control everything, own nothing.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's it.
exactly. And so far, you don't
Is it
have
a
to,
is it a revocable trust that you have?
I don't have the trust yet. The trust is still being determined on how to do it, but I've got like 14 or 15 LLCs registered around. I've got a disregarded holding company out of Wyoming, and then I have a holding company so one owns basically the property LLCs in the different states, and then the other one owns the active LLCs or S corps. Like in Ohio, I have property management company to manage all my properties. I own that. So what that does is that feeds up to the holding company in Wyoming. And then in Ohio, I also have the contracting company, which is an active company, which feeds up to the active holding company. And then that feeds up. Right now, that's where as far as it goes, but we're still trying to figure out the details on the trust, where to do the trust, how to do the trust. Because I'm in North Carolina, so you know, there's stuff like Nevada now has put the trust online to where you can change the stuff as you need to, in some shape or form. I don't. I'm just trying to understand all this stuff. There's so much stuff, and the minor detail, the one word, the one sentence, the one wrong period that you put in anything, it blows the whole umbrella, shoots it down, and you hit the ground like a rock.
Yeah, I would, because I've had a revocable trust for 20 years now. And one of the best things I ever did was to find a really good attorney, really good trust attorney, so that everything is, the trust owns my main holding company, and then the holding company owns everything else that flows down.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can buy whatever I want as long as I buy it in the name, the holding company is there someplace.
Yeah.
So then I don't have to worry about changing the trust all the time. And the trust can be in a land trust or a personal property trust for some privacy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things you can do, but as I understand it, Nevada, North Dakota, Wyoming, and maybe Alaska are the best 3 or 4 states to hold things privately anymore.
Yeah, the attorneys I got are saying Nevada now because you can mess with it your way.
Okay.
But yeah, the only difference between what you did and what I have structured so far is, one, I don't have the trust executed yet, and 2, I separated unactive businesses from active, right? So
Okay.
they can't affect each other. That's because I get the 2 holding companies that one owns active, one owns inactive.
So what's an example of an inactive that you're talking about here?
That's where I own my rentals, right? That's considered a disregarded series LLC. That's not like active, meaning like you're daily working in the business. There's
So it's kind of like earned income as opposed to capital gain income
yes,
or investment income?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's the way I understand it.
Ooh. Does anybody have any questions on anything, or could be anything trust related? Because Nicole's here, she can answer that, right? Can't wait for this trust class.
or anybody,
Writing.
and or any other ways other people structure their business?
Or any other ways to get deals? Or everybody's gonna run out and put 100 offers in this week?
And tell us next week what the results are.
That would be a good one. Challenge everybody to put in at least 2 offers this coming week.
I'd be even willing to donate some leads, and then we can all use as cold calling and JV on them.
Yeah.
There you
Nice,
go.
that's awesome.
There you go.
That's great, Ernie.
Anybody up for that?
I think Emma
I'm in.
is.
I'm sort of not, I'm gonna pass because I'm sort of buying for my goddaughter in a specific area, so I'm kind of not much doing residential stuff anymore, but that sounds like a great idea. I might just
Yeah.
kind of join in just for the heck, see if I can still do it.
Yeah, no. See if you can still do it. That makes me laugh. You'll run circles around
It's like,
all of us.
yeah, I was like, "Are you want the training wheels back on again, or what?"
Shoot. Shoot.
Well, a whole lot has changed, you know?
Yeah, the
And I've got,
conversations haven't changed too much. It's just,
I know, but I've gotten really lazy. I don't even like mailbox money anymore. I want them to send it right to my bank.
that's true. That's true.
Blame you.
Oh,
I like
goodness.
the lazy part on that one too.
Direct deposit.
Mm.
That's
That's right.
right.
Yeah,
Believe
we
it
got
or
into
not.
that a few years ago. Where we started doing all of our tenants and getting a deposit only card,
Yeah.
and so then we can go to the bank. And I was like, "There's no more, oh, I can't get you your check on time." Okay, well, you got the card, go deposit. You get a stamped little piece of paper that shows what time you deposited and everything else.
Yeah, that's the one thing when you take over properties from some of those 70, 80-year-olds, they're like
Yeah.
the tenants are like, are you gonna be around to pick up the check and check in on? No, let's send that to the
Nope.
bank.
Log into the app and pay via account.
Pay the account.
Yeah. Yeah, people still drop the stuff off and they're like, it's to your office is further than the old landlords. Well, that's not my problem, sir.
Yeah, well, we can
I'm
we can
sorry.
send them to Walmart or 7-Eleven, and
Mhm.
so there's a lot of places people can go and just set things up because we have a lot of older people on fixed incomes and or so kinds of things like that. So you try and work with them at least.
Oh yeah, have to.
Yes, yes.
So
There's a couple we still wander around if they're closed, just to check in on them, but
I know
makes it
it's kind of
interesting.
yeah, it does. It does.
Sometimes it's nice to check in on them too.
Yes.
So.
I mean, I do like the cash in hand, but
Well, I got to tell you, one of the best places I get deals are those 70 and 80-year-old people who still are doing things on, yellow legal pads or on their, on their kinds of things because I know how to buy those. I know how to, how to work with them to buy them. And so I get deals when nobody else will buy them.
see, there you go.
Yep. Yep. There you go. There you go.
So
All right. Anybody have any questions? Any other comments? Anything about anything? All right. All right. We'll call it a night. We appreciate everybody being here, and hopefully we had some really creative stuff and ways to find deals. So let's go out and get some deals. Everybody try to get a couple offers in this week, and next week
report
we'll
back
report
next
back.
week.
Yep,
Yes.
we'll report back, and then that last Tuesday in May we'll all have some deals to go over, and let's get some closings going on.
Let's all be everybody's accountability. Get it done.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Well,
Sounds
everybody have
good.
a good week, and we will see you all next week.
Yep,
Thank
sounds
you,
great.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye, good night.